Most people never hear about the role that the liver and the gallbladder play in digestion until they have a problem with it. But when bile flow is sluggish, your body can't break fats down properly. It can't absorb the nutrients it needs. In this video, we're going to take a simplistic look at exactly what bile does, why it matters, and what happens when it's not flowing the way it should. A lot of people assume that feeling heavy or bloated after meals means that they ate too much or that fatty foods just don't agree with them. So they cut out fat, they eat lighter, and the symptoms may improve a little but never fully go away. The thing is that by cutting fat out of your diet, it can actually make the problem worse over time. The gallbladder needs fat to contract and release the bile. Without that signal, bile sits still, and a system that sits still starts to stagnate and turn into sludge. So the discomfort you feel after eating fat, it may not mean that fat's the problem. It may mean that your body needs support to process it properly. This video is about two things. We talk about the liver and the gallbladder and how they work, but also how the use of digestive bitters can trigger the digestive system into working like it was created to work. The liver is one of the most important organs in the body, and one of its many roles is to produce bile. Bile is essential for breaking down fats so that they can be absorbed and used by the body, but it's just like a detergent, really. It also has another important role, and that's to help the body eliminate waste. And this includes excess cholesterol and hormones, which means that it's not just involved in digestion, but also in maintaining internal balance. Once the bile is produced by the liver, it's stored and then it becomes more concentrated when it's in the gallbladder. Then when you eat, especially when your meal contains fat, the gallbladder contracts and it releases the bile or the detergent into your small intestine. This release is not random, it's coordinated and responsive, forming a part of a sequence that begins earlier in digestion with signals from the nervous system and the stomach preparing the body for what's coming next. When bile is released effectively, it helps break fats down into smaller particles so that they can be digested and absorbed properly. This supports the absorption of important nutrients, especially the fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. When this process is working well, digestion tends to feel comfortable. Energy is more stable, and your body is able to both absorb nutrients and eliminate waste efficiently. However, when bile flow becomes sluggish or impaired, this is where symptoms can begin to appear. Fats may not be broken down properly, which can lead to bloating after meals, a feeling of heaviness, discomfort after eating fatty foods, or even changes in your bowel habits. Over time, even if you are eating well, the body may not be accessing the nutrients it needs. This is also where bile's role in waste removal becomes important. Because bile helps carry waste out of the body, including the excess hormones, reduced bile flow can affect this process as well. So what may begin as a digestive issue can gradually influence other areas of your health. There's several reasons why bile flow may become sluggish. So one of the most common relates to diet and eating patterns. Very low-fat diets, for example, may not provide enough stimulation for the gallbladder to contract regularly. Over time, then, this contributes to bile becoming more stagnant. And this is why completely removing fat from a diet is really not always supportive long-term. At the same time, very high-fat meals can be really difficult if the system is already struggling. So rather than extremes, it becomes a matter of balance. Smaller, consistent amounts of healthy fats can help support a more natural rhythm of bile flow without overwhelming the system. Another thing to remember with all of that is that all fats are not created equal. I'll leave you to investigate that one. Another important factor is how well earlier stages of digestion are functioning. So if the cephalic phase or the stomach breakdown is not working efficiently, the signals that trigger the bile release may become weaker. So rather than looking at bile flow in isolation, it's helpful to see it as part of a coordinated system where each step influences the next. This is also why people sometimes experience symptoms that don't seem directly connected to digestion. When fats are not properly processed and nutrients are not absorbed efficiently, the effects can be felt more broadly in your body, including your energy levels and overall well-being, and even gallstones. So, how do we support bile flow in a way that works with the body? One of the simplest ways is by including small, consistent amounts of healthy fats in your diet. Another way is by supporting your body's digestive signals, and this is where bitter foods and digestive bitters can be especially helpful. Bitters stimulate your receptors that activate digestion. They encourage bile flow, enzyme release, and the overall readiness for food. And look, I'm not quite sure why this works. I know that's been done for hundreds and hundreds of years, but as soon as your body registers a bitterness, then that whole digestive process just seems to kick in. In many ways, the bitters will help restore a signal that has been reduced in modern diets because our diets are usually sweet and salty. Hydration also plays a role as bile is a fluid and it requires adequate water to be produced and moved efficiently. As with all aspects of digestion, the nervous system plays a role as well. So eating in a calm, relaxed state allows digestion to function more effectively, while eating in a rushed or a stressed state can reduce digestion activity overall. So rather than trying to force the body to do more, the aim is to gently support the body in what it's already designed to do. When your bile flow improves, many people notice less bloating, better tolerance for foods, and more stable energy levels. This is not because something has been forced, but because your function has been improved. We've gone to the cause. The liver and gallbladder are not working in isolation. They're part of a larger system that relies on coordination and communication. When we support that system as a whole, the body has a much greater ability to return to balance. And that's why so many people feel better when they stop chasing these symptoms and start supporting the system behind them. And when bile flows well, your digestion works better from that point forward. So if this resonates, but you want support to find out what's actually going on in your digestion, I do have a small number of free strategy calls available each week. All you need to do is click on the link below to book yours. Spots are limited though, so grab one while it's open.